welcome everybody to this introductory event and evening for JMEC. The purpose of this evening's event really is threefold. One is it's really to give more information on the JMEC program for IJCC members. I suppose to also launch the IJCC's efforts to have both individual and client companies participating this year in the JMEC program. And also it's good to announce as well that the IJCC this year will be providing a number of partial scholarships for individual members who take part in JMEC this year. So we have a great panel here tonight. We have Trond Varlid from who's a program director from JMEC. Trond will talk to us about JMEC. We have Dermot Killoran, who has been a mentor and involved in JMEC from the very outset, and also a guest lecturer. Dermot will speak to us about that experience. We have Aidan O'Neill, who Aidan is one of his company participated as a client company previously, and then we have Sam Annesley and we have Doire and Myler, who are past participants, alumni in JMEC, and will talk to us about their experience and how it helped develop their careers. So this evening really is to cater for anybody who's interested in participating as an individual or as a client company. So I'll hand you over now to Trond, who will talk to us about the JMEC program. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. So as Pat said, I'm Trond. I'm the program director of the JMEC program, and I really appreciate special thanks to Pat and to Emiko-san for putting this together. Let me just get my slide deck up here. Can you see this? Does that look okay? Yep. Okay. So I will speak for about 10 minutes, and then I will hand over to some of the people that Pat mentioned, and you'll have a chance to hear from actual participants in the program, as well as past project client, and also Dermot, who's been involved in the program from the very beginning, like Pat said. So JMEC is, we think, a very unique business training program based here in Tokyo. It's now been running for 27 years. This is the current program is the 27th edition of the program. So it's quite a milestone by any standards, and I think provides us with a very strong track record, having been up and running so long, and that's long before I became program director. But you'll hear from Dermot, who was there even in JMEC 1. And the program was originally started at the initiative of the Australian-New Zealand Chamber, and they got 4 other chambers or entities with them at that time, and that included Enterprise Island, because at that time there was no Island Japan Chamber, but Enterprise Island was one of the 5 original founding members of JMEC. And now we are up to 18 foreign chambers of commerce supporting the program. So I will just run through a few slides, and you can hear more from those who have actually participated. So we have a number of stakeholders in the program. On the left-hand side, upper left-hand corner there, we have the participants. And they are what we call mid-career professionals who join JMEC to improve their business skills, and particularly their business planning skills, because the overall objective of the program for the participants is to learn how to research and write a professional business plan. And these participants are come from many kinds of companies and all sorts of backgrounds. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Then we have the project clients on the other side of this slide in the upper right-hand corner. They are companies and entrepreneurs who bring us projects, and they are companies and people who are looking for a JMEC team to make a business plan for their business. And that could be sometimes market entry if they're not already in Japan, sometimes to introduce a new product or service for those who are already in Japan. And in recent years, we have had an increasing number of projects from clients who are looking for JMEC teams to come up with ideas for business growth. They may have been here for many years, and for various reasons, the business may have stagnated and so on. So we also have many projects focused on finding new ideas for business growth. Then we have a number of sponsors that help the program in various different ways. We're a non-profit program, and we're therefore dependent on many companies and others providing so-called services in kind for the program. So for example, we have a company that runs our website free of charge in return for being a JMEC sponsor. We have some prize sponsors like Finnair or Hewlett-Packard who provide nice prizes for the program because it's organized as a competition to make it more exciting and energize the participants. We also have sponsors that help us with various kinds of tools, especially market research tools, and that they make available to the JMEC teams during their projects to help them find useful information and so on. And again, that's free of charge for JMEC in return for these companies being sponsors. Then we have many individuals who are team mentors, who are lecturers. We also have team consultants, we have some judges and other people who support the program. And finally, and not the least, as I already mentioned, we have 18 foreign chambers of commerce supporting the program now, helping to bring in new participants, bring in new project clients, and to promote information about the program. We have also, since several years ago, been certified by Pearson, as you can see on the left-hand side here. So every year we have an annual audit by Pearson who will examine how we run the program and so on. And they actually issue the certificates for the individual participants now. And here you can see the 18 chambers that we currently have supporting us. And as at least those of you who are based here in Tokyo can probably see quite quickly, this includes all the major or largest chambers like American Chamber or British Chamber, to many smaller chambers, including Swedish, Norwegian, and I guess, well, Island is Island Japan Chamber is also a small chamber, but I've been impressed by the scale of your activities in recent years, so that's excellent. In total, even though we haven't tried to calculate this accurately, in total we think perhaps are active in Japan, and most of them belong to these chambers, are represented among these 18 chambers. So it's the program is very well anchored with the foreign business community here. We run the program once a year. The JMEC year, so to speak, is from 1st of July until end of June. So that means we are now at the tail end of the current program, JMEC 27. And in early June, we'll have the awards ceremony for the current program. The actual program for the participants start in early November. And in early January, we will divide the class, which normally is 60, 70 participants, into teams, which will then have projects from real companies looking to have a JMEC team make a business plan for their business here in this market. And then the teams work from January until end of May on these projects, and they will produce a written plan as well as provide an oral presentation with slides and so on to the client at the very end. So here you can see the typical JMEC participant profile. Of course, it varies somewhat from year to year. We don't really have any quotas in terms of male, female, or Japanese, non-Japanese, but more or less randomly for the past several years, it's been roughly like you see here. So as you can see, we have a very good gender balance, which is particularly good for Japan, with around 50% female participants. And in fact, in recent years, we have at least 2 years had more female participants than male. We also have a good balance in terms of Japanese, non-Japanese. And every year we have 15 to 20 nationalities. This year we have 17 different nationalities. So it's very diversified also in that way. The average age is around 34. As I mentioned earlier, the participants are mostly what we call mid-career professionals. So it means they're not really students in the normal sense of the word, but actually most of them have many years of experience. And we don't discriminate based on age. So as you can see, age range is typically from mid-20s to mid-50s. This year, participants are, the youngest is 24, the oldest is 58. So that also gives a very interesting mix of people. And of course, when we put together the teams, we try to get a good mix. So there will be some Japanese, some non-Japanese, some women, some men, and also try to some different age groups. So it means some of the young participants may not have as much experience as some of the other participants, but they may have some really creative ideas. Then the more experienced participants can help take those ideas and put them into what might be a more realistic format, and ultimately make a good business plan. Participants also have very diverse professional backgrounds. So every year we tend to have maybe 10 to 15 people who are engineers or have engineer technical backgrounds. We always have a number of people with sales marketing background, with finance background, administration, some English teachers, etc. And we think this very diverse group of people is one of the reasons that this program is still running after 27 years. Because it makes for a very dynamic community, especially among the participants, but also many of those supporting and helping us are from many different nationalities and cultural backgrounds. And the JMEC participants will typically not have experience in a given industry for the project they're working on, which is good and bad. But the good thing is that because they don't have a specialist background from the client industry, they will look at the project and the business with a completely fresh, independent perspective. And that is often mentioned by project clients as one of the reasons they are signing up for JMEC, which often brings up some quite interesting and creative ideas. And here we have last year's first prize winners, JMEC 26, and they had a project for a Spanish biotechnology company looking to use some of their technology in the cosmetics industry. The client was very happy with their result. As another team from last year, the third prize winners, they had specifically so-called condiments, meaning like soy sauce or similar things. So this was actually a visit this team made to a soy sauce factory. And in order to prepare the participants for their projects, which, as I mentioned, start in early January, we have a series of lectures that run over 7 Saturdays, because this program is aimed at people who work full-time, and therefore it's more realistic or more feasible for them to attend the program by having the lectures on Saturdays. So this was from this year's lecture schedule, and I'm just showing you this to show you that they have a lot of topics relevant and related to writing a business plan. And although the print is very small here, on January 9th, they also had a lecture by Pat Ryan on business execution, which of course is very important. So we also now have involvement from the Irish or Ireland Japan Chamber in the lecture series, and we also had Dermot Killoran, who will speak in a moment. He has the JMEC record for being team mentor. I think it was nine years. He will tell you more about that, and has also been a lecturer a number of years. Then at the end of the program, the participants get a certificate issued by Pearson, who, as I mentioned now, certifies the program. And the best teams that might win prizes, they will also get some winner certificates that look like this. So that's the end of my part. So I hope we may see some of those of you who are online as participants and or project clients in the next program, which is JMEC 28. And if you are interested after this evening, then please contact, first of all, the IJCC, because as Pat mentioned, they have some special schemes, especially for participants, but may also be able to help project clients among the IJCC members. So contact IJCC first of all, and they will eventually put you in touch with me or someone else at JMEC. So that's it from me. So thank you for joining tonight, and I'll give it back to Pat. Okay.
Thank you very much, Trond. That's a very, very clear and concise explanation of JMEC. And as you mentioned, I was fortunate enough to do one guest lecture, but the good thing about that was that in preparation, because I hadn't done a lecture like that before, I actually listened or watched back all of the other lectures on Zoom. So I got a really good flavor for the course content, and I must say it's really excellent, with excellent lecturers, mentors, and very practical as well. And I personally learned a lot, even though I super sped through it and didn't have to do all the work that the participants did. So that's fantastic. So now we'll have Q&A at the end as well. So if you have any questions at the end, you can just unmute yourself and ask directly to the participant or to the group. So I'll hand over now to Dermot Killoran. Dermot is, as Trond said, long-time Japan resident and long-time chamber member. So I'll hand it over to you, Dermot. Dermot, can you unmute yourself there, please?
There we are. We're done. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Thank you, Pat. I won't speak for too long, maybe 6-7 minutes thereabouts. Basically, I've put my thoughts into 3 areas. One is sort of JMEC in the background, and secondly, it'll be the sponsor companies, and lastly, the team participants. So going to the area of background, I've been in Japan for 31 years. And as Trond said, the JMEC has been around for 27 years, actually going into its 28th year at the end of this year. I can remember the very first JMEC program. In fact, I was fortunate enough to be asked to be a mentor on the program. It's a long time ago, 27 years ago, but I do remember the team, first of all, the team that I mentored with won the program that year. So that was kind of good. The judges were very happy with the team's performance and the plan they made. And subsequent to the judging, we had a meeting with the project client. I attended that meeting with the project client, and I do recall the project client was not terribly enthusiastic about the plan. And I kind of wondered about that, but at the same time, we knew that the company itself was having some difficulties. It was a single product company, and it was under pressure from Japanese competitors in the marketplace. So we made the presentation was made to the client, and that was the end of it. And about 6 months later, I recall reading in the Japan Times that the company closed down its operations in Japan and withdrew from the market. So there's a lesson to be learned from that. One is, don't ignore the business plan from a JMEC team. If you do, you might run out of business. But this kind of leads me into the second topic, which I want to talk about, which is the client companies. And looking back, I think that particular client company probably already had made up its mind. It was probably thinking of pulling out of the market. And it used JMEC in a bit like throwing a dart at a dartboard to see what would stick. Well, I would say that's not a good way to approach a JMEC plan or a JMEC team and have them write a plan for you if you don't give them the full facts and your full intention and what you're planning to do. So one of the things that I've found from sponsor company plans is that I've never seen a company satisfied with a plan to the extent and said, that's 100% perfect for us. We're going to roll with the whole plan from A to Z. In reality, that doesn't happen. But what does happen is they find golden nuggets in a plan. And that's really important. Those golden nuggets could be sections of the plan that might deal with competitor analysis, market intelligence, competitor trends, consumers, also information like what kind of business arrangements they might have, whether it's distribution or a partner or go it alone. And they're the kind of things that the company can really draw on. They're the kind of things that the company wouldn't have found out itself and would definitely say, this was a worthwhile experience for us. This was a worthwhile investment to find out this information, because from overseas, that's not the kind of stuff you're going to find out. So I think that was important to make that point of view, that the expectation should be that the plan itself could be great, could be fine, but more than likely, it's the parts of the plan that will really appeal to a company. And there'll be other parts of the plan the company will say, well, thanks very much, but that probably doesn't fit our profile, and so we won't go with that. But what you've done for us is really, really good. The other thing is I would say to sponsor companies is don't over-direct the team that's appointed to run your business plan. If you over-direct them, in essence, you're writing your own plan because you're telling them exactly what to do. Remember, they're here in Japan, they're on the ground, they know what the market conditions are. So if you're trying to tell them how it should be from your perspective, you're simply overriding what they will come up with. So give them a lot of freedom. Give them a complete analysis of what you want to do and be upfront with them, but also give them the freedom to come up with their ideas. And lastly, in relation to the sponsor companies, I would say is the issue of confidentiality. A lot of people, companies overseas would say, well, we're not going to give all of our proprietary internal information to a group of people that are over there in Japan. We don't even know who they are. Well, let me say, firstly, that the people on JMEC, and Trond has sort of given us a profile of who they are, but they're all ambitious, go-ahead people who are willing to and want to expand their knowledge. And they're carefully selected. They're carefully selected also by JMEC that they don't end up in a team where there would be a competitor risk of information flowing back. But secondly, all the team members will sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. And it's strictly bound by that. And at the end of the program, JMEC send out a note to everybody, including me as a mentor and the team consultants. Please destroy every piece of information you have about the plan, whether it's in written form or whether it's in digital form. Delete everything and get rid of all documents completely. And that has been a cornerstone of the JMEC process. And that's why it has been a strong program for so long, because I don't think it's ever been a breach of that particular golden rule. So confidentiality really does work. So don't be afraid about releasing important and relevant information. Then moving on to my third and final topic, which is the team participants. I would say to you as a team participant, there'll be many kind of things you'll come up against, but one of the things is, in the beginning, you have a lot of contact with the sponsor company. You're working with them to come up with the statement of works. And after that, then teams kind of say, okay, that's it, fine, we'll go off and write the plan. But as a team participant, make sure you stay in contact with the company, because as you develop your plan, you will need more information. So it's not a question of the company saying, hey, go with this and come back to us after 4 months, or the team saying, hey, don't call us, we'll call you when we're finished. There has to be mutual connection and communication going on throughout the plan so that you don't end up with big surprises at the end of the day. Also, relative to anybody coming from overseas, an overseas background, if you're a native English speaker, remember you'll be on a team where half of the team will be non-native English speakers. And so as a native English speaker, don't hog the limelight. In other words, don't stay talking all the time. Give those other people the chance to participate. And one of the things to always remember in terms of Japan, but I think it's a general Asian cultural thing, a lot of silence goes on in communication. And silence is not approval. Silence is not understanding. So if you find your team members being somewhat quiet, you better stop and sort of figure out what they're really thinking, what they're really saying. If you all want to arrive at the same point, an effective business plan at the end of the day that impresses not only the judges, but obviously, most importantly, the client sponsor companies. And lastly, tensions on a team can happen. I mean, with COVID, everybody's isolated and that's stressful. People have pressure from work and that's stressful. There might be stresses on the team, but your mentor is there to help on those things. You can talk offline to the mentor, and backing up the mentor is Trond over at the JMEC headquarters. So you're never alone, even if you are working alone. And hopefully, while this year they seem to have gone fully 100% into a virtual mode, we're all hoping that with the vaccinations, that maybe next year will be better, and maybe it'll be a hybrid, if not a lot of personal meetings being able to take place. So with those few points of sort of guidance, I'm happy to take care of any further questions anyone might have in the Q&A. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dermot. Thank you for the words of wisdom, and it's great to know that we have this level of experience of JMEC within the chamber. When I did some digging with Trond and with Aidan and in general, I found quite a lot of people in the IJCC, both past and present members, who had participated one way or the other. So it was really nice to find all the experience within the chamber. I think it's great as well you participated in the first JMEC and you won it, which is the most important thing, right?
Well, the team won it. The team won it. I'll be very honest about that. Yeah, the team won it. Yeah.
The team won it. Yeah, but I'm sure the mentor is a very important part of that. Really interesting as well that Enterprise Ireland were part of that first one, and I fully understand why, because Enterprise Ireland, who are on the call tonight as well, do a very good job in helping client companies come into the market, and when you have the likes of JMEC and other tools available to support that market entry, it's really powerful. I personally remember in our business entering a few markets with no business plan, and we wasted a lot of time, a lot of money, and didn't learn the lessons quick enough. So I think it's an excellent resource to have in any country. So moving on now, we'll hand over to Aidan O'Neill. Aidan participated as a client company, and Aidan is going to talk about his experience from the client company perspective. So Aidan, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Pat? Yeah. I'm just going to share.
Yeah, we can see that now. If you just want, perfect.
Is that in full screen, Pat? Is it?
That's in full screen now. That's perfect. Yeah, thank you, Aidan.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good morning from Wicklow, County Wicklow in Ireland, and good evening in Tokyo. My name is Aidan O'Neill, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called DOCOsoft. And as Pat was saying, I'm just going to give I have a few slides here. I'm going to speak for about 10 minutes on from a company perspective on we were on JMEC 23, which was finished in 2000, it was 4 years ago. So I'm just going to give a first-hand experience on our experience on the program. And I think there was wise words there from Dermot as well, in terms of, getting the best out of this from a company perspective and even from a mentor perspective as well. So I'm just going to go through our first-hand experience on that as well. So, So DOCOsoft, I'll just give a quick overview of DOCOsoft itself. We're an insurance technology company. We're based in Dublin and offices in London. We have an office in Tokyo as well, and in Cardiff and Wrocław in Poland as well. We're 13 years old. We're self-funded, no venture capital, and we build claims management systems and our main market is the London insurance market. Lloyd's of London it's the largest specialty insurance market in the world. It's managing about £33 billion worth of risk go into London. Everything from oil rigs to Mick Jagger's voice is insured in London, spacecraft, everything. DOCOsoft, we're managing about 15 billion of the 33 billion at the moment with our claim systems. We manage about 50,000 claims messages a day go through our systems, and they're mission critical. In an insurance company, there's two mission critical systems. One is a policy underwriting system, and the second is a claim system. And you could say that the claim systems are more important than a policy system because they're the shop front of any organization. So that's what we do, and we're privileged to be managing with 50 something people. We're privileged to be managing the mission critical systems for core insurance companies. There's a selection of some of our clients. We have some of the biggest insurance companies in the world using our systems. Munich Re is the second biggest insurance company in the world. They're using us in London. SCOR is a French company. They're the fourth biggest reinsurance company in the world. They're using our claim system in London. They're putting 8% of their total claims through London, and we're managing that as well. We have the Chubb and the Hartford are number 1 and 2 in the US as well. They're using our systems in London. So there's a lot of AIG owned Varlid group. So they're all using the DOCOsoft systems as such. I just want to give a background to why did we go on to JMEC. Basically, I lived in Tokyo. I know Dermot a long time ago. In a former life where he worked in the Bank of Ireland, and we had a running club over there, and Dermot used to sponsor us as well. So I was aware of Dermot, and Garvin Murphy, our CTO, who's on the call today. Garvin lives in Japan, in Tokyo now as well. So we had a background in Japan, and we had actually, as I said earlier, DOCOsoft we're kind of a hybrid Japanese, English, Irish company as well. So we've taken the learnings from the Japanese kind of culture as well. And I think that's one of the points that's made DOCOsoft so successful is the attention to detail. And so we wanted a short and long-term plan for the Japanese market. It's the second largest insurance market in the world, the second largest, like the biggest. So we wanted to look at that as well. And so of course that leads to a pub lunch with Dermot back in July 2016, where I got introduced to Trond as well on the JMEC program director. And we signed up for the JMEC program back then. Here's a kind of a timeline that I just wanted to show you guys in terms of what's involved from a company point of view. And I think Dermot mentioned there earlier that it's very, very important to make a very solid statement of work. That's crucial. I think you need to put the time into that. And I mean, if that's concise and detailed, I think you're going to be well on the way to getting the most out of it. Then, if that's flimsy, you're at nothing trying to work backwards then in future. So I think that's probably, for us, that was probably the most important point, to make sure it's very detailed. And I like what Dermot was saying as well, is give the guys, give them space to breathe and don't be all, let them do the plan. And we were fortunate that we had a super team. They came up with a name called Team Spectacular. That was their name, and they worked very, very hard. They met every Saturday without fail. I think, Trond, you mentioned that it was the learnings is over 7 Saturdays, but our team met, I think, from January to late May. They met without fail every Saturday, and I couldn't fault the culture, the work ethic of the team. There was Matthew was from South Africa. He was an accountant. He was leading the team, and we had a mixture of mostly Japanese people then on the team. There was 6 in total. We had a team consultant who was a background in financial services, and then we had a mentor as well. And the team consultant was living in Japan over 30 years, so very, very experienced on the Japan as well, and the Japanese markets as well. We were getting reports twice a week from February to May from the team. In May, they sent us over a very detailed business plan. And then there was an award ceremony in the Tokyo America Club in June. So that's the timeline of what a typical engagement looks like. Just some key points from a company perspective. As I said, give clear direction, commit time to it as well. If they're sending you over reports, like, make sure you read the reports, you give a bit of direction as well. And you do work closely, but not too closely, as Dermot advised as well, with the team. One thing we found as well was important to, we're introducing to some of our customers, so try to help with introductions as well. And, try to give a bit of, work with your own customers, because if the customer's getting a cold email from somebody that they don't even know, they're probably not going to respond. So try to help them as well and assist them as well with that. And I think Pat said it as well at the start, and Trond, that we linked into Enterprise Ireland from the start. And I think that's very, very important as well, and any other government bodies as well. The team dynamic is crucial. And I think in fairness to Trond and the JMEC guys, they really put together a great team dynamic, and they really work so hard, as I said. And I think you got to remember as well that this is a competition. So the guys are, if you can get the guys, I mean, they want to win it, right? So you try to, you help them that way as well. I think it's very important if you can. I know with COVID and all, it's not possible, but to attend the award ceremony in Tokyo, because of, that's a way to show appreciation as well. And it's a great networking opportunity. And the beers are free, so there's no harm in that. And I think it's important to say thanks as well. Bring the guys out. Sponsor a pizza night during the year if you can, because this thing is so cost effective. It's like it's really to get a business plan over 6 months. It's practically free. So, you got to say thanks to the guys who are working on it as well, and try to give something back as well. If Trond is looking for a press release or something, or a reference, try to do that as well. So there's some key points. Just from a company point of view, there are super advantages. It's, as I said, it's cost effective. You get a great feel for a new market. As you said, Pat, that you've done a few times with no business plan, and you will suffer for that. So this gives you a great feel for a new market. It also gives you great contacts in a new market that if you don't know, it's because of the engagements of the teams on the ground. And also typically a new market is going to be a new country, so you can get experience in that as well, and knowledge. And the cultural experience is very, very important as well. Like in Japan, passing over the business cards, well, they used to anyway, with how, and maybe bringing a gift to a meeting and stuff like that. So it's important to learn from that as well. And there's also a future hiring opportunities with the JMEC team as well in future. And I think that the ecosystem, you'll have access to Trond and Dermot and all those guys that are on the ecosystem as well. So and it's also very, very enjoyable. It's it's a nice time. There's there's just a snapshot of our team. Our brand is purple and yellow. So the guys actually, this was on their own. They dressed up with the DOCOsoft colors there as well, and we came second. Yeah, it was good, and you can see Team Spectacular. They sent over the plan to me beforehand as well, and I traveled to the over in early June 2017 to the ceremony as well. And there's we did a press release after the event, and there was just some I just dragged that up there over the weekend and put it on the slide for you guys to show everybody. So and it's funny, as Dermot was saying, the recommendation from our plan was that we actually don't enter the Japanese market, that the DOCOsoft was too early in the day. And I really appreciate what Dermot was saying. Don't ignore, I know it was tongue in cheek, Dermot, but don't ignore a JMEC plan to your peril. But since 2017, DOCOsoft, we've nearly tripled our turnover and doubled our workforce, but we didn't enter the Japanese market based on the recommendations of the plan. The company was, it was too early stage for us. There was too much work to do in the core market, in the London insurance market. But now the timing is different. So what I would say that it's a real professional plan. It's comprehensive, and as Dermot said, it's not perfect, but there is nuggets in it that you can figure out yourselves from. And I would say ignore it at your peril, guys, as well, you know. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I think, sorry, I'm going backwards, yeah, but that's my little origami going off there. So I think, thanks, guys. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much, Aidan. That's great. I'm impressed with how you did that little origami at the end. You must teach me that trick sometime. Yeah. But I think as well, it was a very brave decision not to go ahead and listen to the recommendations of the JMEC team. And I also think it shows that more than likely, if an internal business plan had been done, it would have gone ahead, because it's very seldom that a company invests all the time and energy in a business plan and doesn't try to enter a market. So I think it shows a lot of benefits already from almost an independent business plan being written with your interests, your real interests in mind, and also coming second in the competition shows as well that JMEC rewards that kind of honesty in what the findings are of the market research and the business plan. So thank you for sharing your story.
I think though, Pat, though, that in our sector, it doesn't move very quick. The insurance sector is very conservative. And I think that the findings from the plan 3-4 years ago still stand in terms of the insights that, you know, from the market itself, the competition, you know, who's operating in the market, the Japanese insurance company. So there's still a lot of nuggets that are still relevant today, Pat, that we can reuse in future. So it's not that stale either. No,
and your company, from what you've said there, has grown strongly in the last 2 to 3 years with your scale and size, and I'm sure your experience. So if you were to go ahead now, you're in a much stronger position than you were at the time, I imagine. So lots of learnings. Thank you very much for sharing, and as I say, I'm sure there'll be questions for you at the end as well, Aidan. So we'll move on now to hear from some of the past participants, individual participants in JMEC. So I'll hand it over to you now, Sam.
Great, thanks, Pat. Evening, everyone. It's good to be here in the event tonight. My name's Sam Annesley. I'll just take a few moments to kind of share what my experience of JMEC was and what I felt were some of the benefits from my perspective as a participant in the program. So I'm the executive director of Greenpeace Japan, which is an international non-government organization. We're based here in Tokyo. I'm originally from Strabane in County Tyrone up in the north, but I've been in Japan for about 20 years already. So my relationship with JMEC started back in 2015 when I took part in the program. At that time, I was, I think, 32 or 33 years old. And probably like most of the participants, I was drawn to the program because, you know, I wanted to expand my career options. I didn't come from, you know, a typical business background. Before doing the program, I'd really been involved mostly in NGOs and work in the civil society sector. So from that perspective, for me, taking part in the program was at times quite a steep learning curve. I didn't have much experience with financial analysis, but after those 7 weeks of intense lectures, I felt like I had a bit of a handle on it. But from what I wanted out of JMEC, you know, I think it was really it was a good option for me. People sometimes, you know, compare JMEC to, or they would describe JMEC as a mini MBA, and I think that holds true to a certain extent. But there's some really significant differences between JMEC and an MBA, and in my perspective, you know, some real advantages from choosing JMEC over an MBA. So for me, you know, as a participant, through my experience, you know, I learned very quickly that JMEC was really rooted in the community, and previous speakers tonight have really touched on that. I think that's a huge benefit for the program. When I say what I mean by roots in the community is, you know, you've got that network of business professionals in Tokyo that are on hand, ready to support. And also one of the benefits that I experienced was that there's a really strong focus on practical learning in the program from quite early on as well. But aside from, you know, all those hard skills like statistics and marketing and finances, there's also the soft skills element of it too. So from a participant's perspective, that's probably what people don't think they're going to learn about when they come into the program, but it's really, really invaluable. You learn a lot about effective communication. As I think Trond mentioned at the start, there's a very wide variety of different nationalities, people from different backgrounds taking part in the program. So learning how to, you know, communicate and work effectively in team with people from very different backgrounds from yourselves is really an invaluable skill, which will help you in any kind of career moving forward. And also things like time management, really things that you learn through the program. And of course, you're doing all of this whilst, like I said, you know, you're meeting these successful businessmen and women who are very active in Tokyo, and you have also got a really strong support as well from both a team mentor and a consultant. So if you're thinking about doing the program, but you don't necessarily come from a business background, I would just reassure you that you know, someone such as myself coming from an NGO background felt very supported and lots of opportunities to learn. So I would just mention that. My experience then, just briefly, after finishing the program, I changed jobs within a few months of changing the program. Maybe Trond can share a bit more later on in the Q&A session, but I think that's quite common that a lot of people find themselves moving on to better jobs after doing the program. And I was fortunate enough to get a job at Bloomberg. So that was me moving from the NGO sector into the finance sector as a beginner. And I think JMEC definitely played a role in that for me. So I stayed in Bloomberg for a while, but then at a subsequent event, I bumped into my previous team mentor who let me know that there was a big NGO here in Tokyo that was looking for an executive director, and he really encouraged me to apply for the position. So I applied, and fortunately enough, I got the job. So I was, you know, I was really locked out actually from doing the program. You know, thanks to the networking that I was able to do and the people I met through the program. You know, by my mid-30s, I was able to, you know, have experience leading organizations at the executive level here in Tokyo, which is definitely thanks to the program. And since then, I've moved on to where I am today, which is Greenpeace Japan, so an international NGO. And, you know, again, that all stems back to 2015 when I made that decision to take part in the program. So I just say, you know, if you're looking to change your career path, JMEC is definitely worth doing. You know, if you're already on a solid career track and you're looking to deepen your skills and develop them, I'd say it's definitely worth doing as well. And just finally and briefly from a client perspective, I think there's some great advice there from Aidan and Dermot, and I'm certainly not a client, but just as leading the organization I work for at the moment, I'm in the non-profit sector. So for me, talking to PwC or some of those other big consultancy firms and getting market research, is often way to my budget range. But when the timing's right in the future, I think I would definitely consider working with JMEC. So I just say, if you want to understand the Japanese market better, if you want to see if it's right for your business, if you want to expand your business, but you don't want to break the bank at the same time, I would say JMEC is really, really worth considering. So yeah, as I mentioned, just in summary, I think for me, one of the main benefits of the program, both from a participant's perspective, but also from a client perspective, is just getting access to that network of people out there who can really help you, develop yourself personally, professionally, but also help you develop and expand your business as well. So I'm happy to talk more later, but I'll leave it here for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sam. It's great to hear your perspective. And I know you mentioned you got lucky, but I think a lot of time you make your own luck by taking these decisions to join this program. So well done on your progression in your career, and thank you for speaking this evening. And finally, now I'll hand over to Doire to give us his perspective as a past JMEC participant. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Pat. I think, Sam, you've covered everything very concisely there. That was great. So that's about ditto to say from me, I think, but excellent. I think it was interesting, Sam and you and myself were in the same year of JMEC as well. So we skewed the statistics there in terms of the balance of nationalities and things there with both of us from Ireland. I'm from Bantry down West Cork myself. I've been here in Japan about 6 years now. I work in a traditional Japanese corporation in the medical field, and I work in the field of HR in that company. So I suppose today just I'd like to touch on the fact that JMEC is a great benefit for people like myself and Sam taking the course, but also for the companies that are maybe sending people on a regular basis to take this kind of training as an alternative to maybe other more traditional programs and things. But I suppose the thing that sticks with you most from the JMEC experience is the actual project itself. And I suppose in my case, it was no different. I think Dermot was touching on some of the challenges he'd seen. And I think our group was one of those groups that faced a fair bit of challenge as well. Maybe the best way to share it is to share the slides from the final presentation. Just kidding, Dermot. It's the NDA stands, they're all deleted. I won't be doing that. But I would say that, yeah, that kind of challenging experience is something maybe you don't get an opportunity to experience so much in an office environment, particularly in a back office position like my own. And seeing how a business runs from that kind of perspective that you maybe talk about in college lectures and things, but seeing from the bird's eye view how a product or a service is rolled out and the nuts and bolts of the finances was a very, very unique opportunity. And also to work with a team of people who are experienced professionals in different fields to my own was also a huge benefit, I'd say, in seeing the different perspectives and ways of thinking. One a computer programmer, one a marketing expert from a luxury brand, and another marketing expert from a company similar to my own. So having a very, very unique set of perspectives from differing backgrounds was really a learning experience for myself. And I'd say that's probably, for me personally, what I probably took the most out of. And it's still, it's nice to have that selection of people in your life as well that you can reach out to in the future, and we still keep in touch. And I think that's great. But I suppose going back to the beginning, and why did I decide to take JMEC? I suppose I was fresh off the boat here in Japan with very little Japanese, and working in this kind of traditional corporation with maybe only the kind of the basic learning of my business course behind me, which is plenty of stuff about corporate governance and high level things, but not very much about what actually you need to do on a daily basis. And it's hard when you don't know how to ask or who to ask and you don't have the language skills to ask, and you want to learn more, I think the opportunities are limited here. And I think for young business people maybe who are thinking about leveling up their skill set, I mean, maybe to potentially change jobs, but just to grow in their own job, it's a really good opportunity for that. And so I was very lucky to strike on one of the information sessions, and I think I met Dermot in Untitled one night as well. It was recommended to me, and I think Will was probably cursing the day because I missed every Saturday after that in the Untitled and that's during the course. But yeah, it seemed like the perfect win-win between a brilliant cost proposition. I mean, training from any kind of corporate training that we run, I can say that 1 day's training in one of the corporate providers we have would probably cover the cost of the 6 months of JMEC. So in terms of that proposition, it's an unbelievable benefit for the people who want to take it, and for many people in our company who are perhaps considering doing an MBA or taking some kind of further business learning like that. It's unrivaled, I think, in that regard. And since we've had a few people after myself, one of them was in the picture there, Jonathan from our company participated, I think it was last year or the most recent, and it was on the winning team. So it was a great, I wasn't on the winning team, but we went on to have a winner on my behalf anyway. And I feel very, very, very satisfied that we've flourished in that way. But I think it's great for a company like ourselves as well. We can continue sending people who have that desire to learn more, and it's a very reasonable, easy option for us in that way. And if people then graduate that, we can consider sending them overseas or sending them to a longer term, more intensive program. So yeah, I think the rest of what I was maybe going to touch on was more of similar to what Sam was saying about the benefits of the diversity of it and the learning experience in terms of looking towards growing your career. But I think I will leave it there, and thank you very much. And I think yeah, anyone who's considering studying JMEC, it's maybe one of the most grueling, but one of the most beneficial experiences you can have over 6 months. Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Doire. That's great. And I think your point, Sam mentioned as well, that a number of people who take JMEC, and in fact, people who do MBAs and masters, there's always a number of people leave their jobs after. But I think the other is the case as well, where organizations who are smart enough and brave enough to put people on those courses, they actually end up then with a lot of loyalty and additional skills at a very, in this case, actually at a very cost-effective, in a very cost-effective way. And because it's run on a Saturday as well, it doesn't really interrupt the current or the kind of business operations either. So yeah. I think that's another point worth noting. So thank you all for sharing your experience. It's, for me, it's been a great, you know, you can always read the information, you can experience it a bit when you hear past participants talking about it. That's when you really get a feel for if it's something suitable for you. So I hope people watching this video afterwards or people attending tonight will consider the program for themselves or their organizations. So we'll go into a quick Q&A now. If we have any questions from anybody, if they can just unmute themselves and ask directly to any of the participants, or to, yeah, I have a question for you, Trond, and without giving away any confidential information, but do you have any kind of real high profile success cases? You've done 27 of these now with about 10 companies on average, so you've had, you know, 250 plus companies over the years. Is there any that stand out for you that doesn't have to be the big successes, but that were, you know, were really showed what JMEC is about?
Right. Yeah, we do have a number of success stories. One of the most successful in one sense anyway, in terms of profitable product, was for Heineken some years back, where a JMEC team came up with a business plan for a non-alcohol beer. and which turned out to be particularly good timing for the company, because the regulations in Japan changed not so long after, and that became a very successful product. And according to Heineken, it was their most became their most profitable product in Japan. It was not their biggest selling, because still alcohol beer it's more popular than non-alcohol, but in terms of profit margins, that became a very successful product. Another one which is also quite or which is quite recent is for Pearson, the publishing and education company. They did a JMEC project where the JMEC team looked at coming up with some new ideas for one of the English level tests that Pearson offers, and particularly aimed at corporates, because especially in a country like Japan, but also elsewhere, the English level of potential new employees is very important, and in fact, even of existing for existing employees. And some of the tests available, like TOEIC, apparently is not very effective in actually measuring the real English level. So Pearson did have a particular test for that purpose, which they wanted to improve, and the JMEC team came up with some really clever ideas, which they implemented and actually launched that new test last year. And the guy who was in charge of that here at Pearson in Tokyo is very happy to talk about his JMEC experience in that regard. So I think if anyone is interested, I'm happy to put you in contact with some other reference clients, and of course we already have Aidan online here. But we also do have other projects we can reference.
Very good, thank you, Trond. Appreciate it. Just before we go into our first, we're going to do a small bit of networking, and just before we go into that, if there's any other questions, if not, you can ask them in the. So we've Killoran, you're asking a question this time, yeah?
Yes. Sorry if this was mentioned before, but my data is a bit in and out. So anyone is able to participate in the program?
Yes, you're thinking in terms of background, like education or experience. So the answer is basically yes. We evaluate all interested participants case by case.
Okay, I see. Because
Yes,
I'm a recent graduate, so I don't have much experience.
Oh, I see. No, that's generally fine. We do have some participants like that every year. So this year we had a few participants who were recent graduates, and one was even graduating last year at Waseda. So we evaluate case by case. So that should not stop you from applying to the program.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I'll hand over now to Tsuchiya-san, President of the IJCC, to say a few words.
Yes, thank you, Pat. Dear IJCC members, friends of IJCC, good evening and warm welcome to our Japan Market Entry Competition, JMEC, and IJCC Member Information and Networking event. My name is Yoshihiro Tsuchiya. I'm the chairman of IJCC. First of all, I'd like to sincerely thank Trond-san, Program Director of JMEC Business Training Program, who kindly introduced JMEC program into detail and provide us deeper knowledge about JMEC. I was actually very impressed and surprised to know that JMEC has a 27 years history. That's a long history. And also the very diverse participants. Really, really interesting and surprised. And also, I would like to thank our members and JMEC alumni, Mr. Dermot-san, Aidan-san, Sam-san, and Doire-san, who kindly share your valuable and the informative experience in JMEC, which was really, really interesting and will be helpful for the participant. If I were younger, maybe 30 or 40 years younger, I will definitely take the opportunity to join the JMEC program, but I'm too old now. I'm curious to know that what is the eldest age participants in the past for JMEC, but anyway, I'm just joking. So meanwhile, IJCC would like to strengthen the relationship with JMEC. And as you know, we have just started for the first time, scholarship to our members who will participate in JMEC program and completed the program. Especially IJCC would like to support entrepreneurs and SME, both in Ireland and Japan, who are keen to seek business opportunities in either countries. And we do hope collaboration with JMEC will be able to assist further to those people in future. And finally, I hope you enjoy the event tonight and you continuously enjoy the networking in breakout room. And again, thank you very much for joining us and hope to see you in our next event. Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you.
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you all for attending tonight and for participating as well. The event is recorded, so we will be sharing this afterwards, and we will probably have a couple of follow-on events between now and November with JMEC, potentially with other chambers as well, because we want to heighten the awareness of JMEC and get more and more people and organizations involved. So thank you very much. And just a couple of, I suppose before we finish up tonight, a couple of housekeeping things. As you're probably aware, over the last 12 months, we've been doing virtual events, and we've also been doing our best to increase our activity on social media. So I'd encourage everybody here to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and engage with the posts where you feel it's appropriate and you can as well. I'd also like to thank our main sponsors, Toyokuin. I suppose they, without their support throughout the year, some of the activity and events of the chamber will be quite difficult. I'm sure most people on this call are already signed up for our newsletter, but encourage your friends and colleagues to sign up for the free newsletter. And all of our events at the moment are open to members and non-members, and we have quite a proportion of people come and see the events and then join the community. So thank you again for tonight, and we'll have a number of upcoming events. You can find out more details on the events page at the IJCC website. And the final thing as well is we have a number of active committees now, and we've members joining our committees regularly from regional, market entry, European affairs. We have a new sustainability committee as well. So reach out to Emiko or myself if you're interested in joining. And thank you again for your support, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you all soon.